Welcome to Chris Strub Unmuted. I'm Chris Strub, and today we're talking about being an uncle with my Uncle John Strub.
It was a goal of our relationship that we would develop and establish a family and just have the joy, and I really do mean the joy and pleasure of shaping other human beings.
John, cheers. This is Chris Strub Unmuted, a show designed for open dialogue, honest reflection, and uncensored truths about the lives that we lead. Today's episode talks about being a dad and an uncle and a grandfather with Uncle of the Century here, John Strub. Welcome to the show.
Why, thank you.
Happy Father's Day in advance.
Thank you.
Happy also birthday. It's your birthday month, so that's kind of
yes,
cool.
it is, yes.
June is a big month.
June is a very big month.
For my uncle. And by the way, my aunt is here as well. Your better half is here. She'll be out. She'll join us in a little bit. But this month, I'm doing a series of episodes talking to fathers that I look up to and admire for different reasons. Earlier in the season, I spoke to my own father, your brother, Charlie. I'm sure we'll talk about him too. But, you know, I really want to ask you and take some time today on a gorgeous day in Greenville, South Carolina.
Could not be better.
Could you possibly? That's why I was like, we got to record outside.
Couldn't be better.
You know, and we're outside. We'll there's a reason why we're showing the home in the backyard here too, because I'm going to ask you about that type of thing. But
Okay.
You have been a dad for how long?
30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
Father of two.
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk about your firstborn first, John Adam. What was it like? Let's start here. Your wife is Glenda. You've been married for 34 years. When did you guys know that you wanted to be parents?
Right away. This was something that I think was I don't think. It was a goal of our relationship that we would develop and establish a family that we could share our hopes and dreams, our values, our resources with, and just have the joy, and I really do mean the joy and pleasure of shaping other human beings from birth all the way through adulthood and beyond. You never stop being a parent in any experience that I've ever had, whether it's my own or my own parents.
You've got two amazing kids. I love both of them. Shout out John Adam, who we'll refer to as J.A., I'm sure, multiple times. If you hear J.A., that means John Adam, which is John's firstborn. And then Emma, a different path to fatherhood and motherhood there with your daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell that story?
Yeah, because so we had John Adam, and he was born with a serious vision issue that we didn't know about in any pre-testing, prenatal things, and he just came out this certain way, and our first years were a juggle of taking him to specialists and things like that, which incidentally turned out to be all right, because he ended up succeeding spectacularly in high school, went to Hunter College in New York City, then graduate work at the University of Texas at Austin, got his PhD recently, and landed a job at the University of Tampa.
Starting this fall.
This August as a musicologist. And we spend much of the year in Florida, in Clearwater, about a half an hour away. So we're kind of thrilled with that. So we had John Adam in 1995, in January. And it was difficult for us to have another pregnancy for one reason or another. And it wasn't like it was avoided, but it just wasn't happening. And so we had a family friend we've had a number of these people. We had another family friend who introduced us, and my wife and I met technically at a bar in Huntington Village, my hometown on Long Island.
Mine too. Mine too.
Yes.
Yep.
But this was not the conventional, like Friday night, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, and you're at the bar. This was more like 7:30, 8 o'clock on Saturday or Sunday morning, where my brother, Chris's dad, who cooked at this grill, that bar and grill, longtime Huntington institution, Finnegan's, where he and this friend of ours would go down on the weekend mornings. We'd buy some bagels, we'd have the newspapers, we'd put on a pot of coffee, put on the music, and let the cleaning crew come in and totally clean up the place while we sat at the bar and had coffee and bagels and stuff like that. Well, our turned out mutual friend, Christopher Jordan, what a nice first name he had.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep. Yep.
He, God rest his soul, but he was quite a character. Came from a very artistic family, a very creative family, and he introduced us. And another family friend told us about a friend of hers who was going to have had a pregnancy and was going to give up the child for adoption. Was not going to be able to care for it, nor did she wished to terminate the pregnancy. And so we did a private adoption of our daughter. And when I say our daughter, our daughter, the important thing for me as a parent is to emphasize that that in no way do I consider my daughter, Emma, to be any less my flesh and blood. Now, of course, scientists would say, well, she's not your flesh and blood, but to me, she is my flesh and blood, okay? So she's nothing less in status as my child, as my biological son. And we've watched them both grow up. My daughter is very, very different from my son, but
She is.
Oh, but we love them to death and back, and it's like one of those one of those old songs would say, I can say anything at all about my family, but if you say it, I'm going to chop your head off, okay, and bury you somewhere where they're never going to find you. So, this is what it's about.
Both of your children are incredible human beings in different ways. And one of my earliest memories as a kid, so I'm 10 years older than J.A., and I remember that's when my memories started to formulate in my head, was like the pre-J.A. era, and then definitely with Emma. I remember Emma coming into the family and everything, and it's just been really remarkable. And I have such deep respect for you and my aunt, your wife. Two different people whose love has lasted 34 years and counting. Just two incredibly talented people. So why don't you talk about a little bit like what you've done for work? I mean, you are happily retired now.
I went to Marquette University
Yeah.
in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I went to their journalism school and graduated in 1981 with a bachelor's in journalism. That was during the President Carter years of recession and high unemployment, and also very high interest rates. And finding work was not an easy situation. I moved back to New York, worked for a couple of years as a media buyer on 3rd Avenue and 52nd Street.
Cool. Did I know that?
And
I don't know that I
yeah, I was a media buyer.
knew that
We
stuff.
bought
Cool.
radio and TV time for
Love that.
for a variety of clients.
For how many years?
I did that for 2 years, and then
That's cool.
and then I made a decision I was going to move back to Milwaukee because I didn't really want to do that kind of work. So I moved back to Milwaukee, and I got a job in the classified advertising department at the Milwaukee Journal and Sentinel. The Sentinel at the time was the morning paper, Journal was the afternoon, same parent company now, they're joined into one paper. But that's when newspapers had thriving classified departments, and so I had my own display, customers, people who were doing like recruitment ads for positions they
Yeah.
had or other things.
Mhm.
And those were rather big businesses. And then I also took calls from people having what we'd call in New York garage sales, and they called them in the Midwest rummage.
Rummage,
Okay?
yeah,
Rummage
for that,
sales,
yep,
like
yep,
you
yep.
rummage around.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I did that for a couple of years. I started out part-time. They moved me to full-time. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to go back to New York. Okay, I really felt it was time. And I worked as a display ad salesperson for an advertising paper, a mailed advertising paper that went to every home and business in every town that we serviced. We serviced about a dozen.
It's the penny saver?
Yeah, that's the Huntington Penny Saver Group.
Yep.
And my mother was the office manager there, and I knew everyone who worked there. So it was an easy fit for me to be there. I was there for, I don't know, maybe a dozen years or so, a little over 10 years. And then my wife, Glenda, she's inside, she worked at a school district, which is a 3-village school district out in Stony Brook, Setauket, on Long Island. And because she worked there, I would accompany her when she was chaperoning a dance, and we volunteered to do some things, and so I came to know a lot of the people who worked there. And one day I figured, I wonder what it would be like, how my candidacy to be a teacher there. It never crossed my mind to be a teacher, but it just crossed my mind, like, how would you view my candidacy? And so I called up this principal who I worked under, and she said, well, go back to school, get your teaching credentials, and and then we'll talk. And then click, there was and then she hung up.
Yeah.
Then I got a phone call back. I'm still working at the Penny Saver, and I get a call on my beeper. I got the beepers. I got a number on my beeper. I said, "Who's this?" I called back. It was her, and she said, "Are you ready yet? Are you done with your schooling yet? Because I have a position. I can give it to you starting like next week, and you won't have to interview. You won't have to do anything. It's tenure track." It was in the social studies department.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a social studies teacher, right? But I wasn't quite ready yet. And she said, all right, well, when you're ready, call me back. Click. And I held the phone again. Then she calls me again. She says, look, I have a paraprofessional position in the reading writing lab. I said, what exactly is that? She says, you'd be an assistant to someone who's helping people who need a little bit of help with their English communication skills, let's just say, And it's going to be split between 2 junior high schools and blah, blah, blah. And, it's X amount of money, which was not enough to pay my mortgage. And it's from September to June.
Working in my house.
September to June, and then, and then you're out of a job. Okay, that's it. You want to take it? So I said, yes, of course I'm going to take it. And I made the very best that I could to ingratiate myself with the history department and with the administrators in the 2 buildings I worked with. I volunteered for every single thing that they asked people for, that they needed people for. And then I was really fortunate to have been taken under the wings of a number of professionals who worked in these buildings, who had worked there for decades, since the 1960s. And they took me in, and they encouraged me, and they helped me, and so I was going back to school to finish up all my credentials. I student taught in one district. They wanted to hire me, but I was a lousy interview, And so when I started at Three Village in Stony Brook, I had to work on my interview skills.
I've gotten that too, by the way.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
I got
yeah.
that gene from you.
Well, I got. They were very angry. I student taught in a town called Northport on the North Shore of Long Island, and they got very angry at me, the people in the social studies department, because they gave me, I think, 3 chances to snag a job, and they all would have voted yes, but I was really a lousy interview at that point. So, it was a blessing that I was able to get in at Three Village in Stony Brook and get that job as a para. And then when I interviewed there, I did better. Okay, I did better. And then they invited me to do a demo lesson, and I did a demo lesson using a brand new technology that this guy's never heard of. You know what it was?
What's that?
PowerPoint. Okay? Yes, I did a PowerPoint with stick figure, the old PowerPoint stick figure things on the U.S. Constitution. I did a lesson on the Constitution.
For the record, I still use PowerPoint today.
Yeah,
It's
me,
2026.
me too. So would I.
You'll notice the sarcastic tones sometimes.
Well, that's
from-
because he's a Cubs fan.
from
What
my
can I
here.
say?
Yeah.
So in any event, I got a phone call later that day saying, "Hey, we've got a job for you, and you can choose your building." And it took a little bit of wrangling, but I chose it, and that started a career as a global studies AP World teacher, and for a year English. That lasted 23 years in the Three Village Central School District, and I retired a couple of years ago. And
The legend, Mr. Strub. Did they call you Mr. Strub in school?
well, they would have had to, because we were not really on a first name basis. But
Yeah.
I have had the experience
It's weird to me.
recently. Well,
Mr. Strub.
I have had the recent experience of being in like New York City and having like some girls in the subway, in Times Square subway, come up to me and say,
Be careful,
are
my
you-
aunt is listening now.
Right,
I got some girls coming up to you in the
Are
subway.
you Mr.? Are you Mr.? And then we went to a show about a month and a half ago, and this guy standing behind us online, we saw this show, Giant on Broadway with John Lithgow, and this guy behind me, he's looking at me, he says, I think I know you. I think I know you. And turned out that his daughter was in my class.
Yeah.
And so we took a selfie so that he could show her, but he had very kind things to say as well.
Must be amazing thinking about, we talk about fatherhood, but this role you're talking about of being a teacher, it is in a different way having a major influence on thousands of kids over the decades.
Well, about 130 per year over 23 years.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That's thousands
You
of
can-
kids.
Yeah, and
And a phrase that I use a lot
it
on
works.
the podcast to close, to close every show is I use the phrase, we are all famous to a few people. People ask, like, Chris, why do you do a podcast? Like, what is this about and stuff? Like, that's what, you talk about that math, 130-ish times 20-something years.
Roughly, yeah.
That's over 2,000 kids and lives. Yeah, just pour the whole thing on my iPad. That's perfect. It's windy out here.
No.
You talk about we are all famous to a few people. I'm like, who will listen to your podcast? There's over 2,000 adults now who have grown up having learned from Mr. Strub, in addition to the 2 other adults for whom you are primarily responsible, and another adult here that you and your wife have played major parts in my life also. So I want to talk about the impact of being an uncle. I'm wearing my Cubs jersey because I know we are both major Cubs fans. We talk about this all the time, your love of the Chicago Cubs. As a proud Marquette alum, I know that's a big Cubs town, that they love the Cubs in Milwaukee, right?
Yes, I think.
Do I need to cut this part out of the podcast?
No. But I think a little
this unacceptable?
clarification. No, a little clarification. Just a little bit to make things absolutely clear. I am not a Cubs fan. Okay, but he likes to think I am because
that part was
because
that's
I've
AI,
been-
that's ChatGPT taking over.
Yeah.
This is
yeah,
a
sure.
generated uncle.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do the recap
So,
capture
This
thing.
is, but the
I'll
fun part.
identify the cars in the pictures have cars in them.
I can call this man anytime, but every phone call that we make has to start with that 5 minutes of sports related bullshit. And when the weather is like this in June, this is, hey, the Mets suck. Hey, your Brewers suck. He's got 2 teams because he's a big Queens guy. We'll get there. But for me, it's, hey, the Cubs suck. Last week the Cubs had lost like 11 in a
They
row.
did.
So that's when you hear the most.
Amazing in 1 week to
From
lose
it's like,
11 in a
oh,
row.
look at all these texts from my uncle. This
Yeah.
is crazy. Like, what?
The L
What a
flag.
surprise.
The L flag.
There's a
flying
W
at-
flag flying in my
I
garage.
say
and
it's an M flag.
an M flag
It's just upside down.
for Milwaukee. But some of my earliest memories, of course, with my dad, with my mom, stuff like that, but with you and my aunt. And, going to Shea Stadium. A lot of the
Flushing, New
kids
York.
listening today might not even know what Shea Stadium is.
It's unfortunate.
So now I'm aging myself here. But
It
we
was
go
a
to,
dump, but
go
it
to
was
Mets
our
games
dump.
all the time, and
Yeah.
you're a very thoughtful guy. You love to travel. Now in this retirement-ish age, you guys are globetrotters. You love to travel. Where's your favorite place around the world that you've been?
Favorite place in the world? Well, I don't know. It's
Other than
every-
like my front yard. I mean, this is
well,
pretty
well.
cool.
This
is
takes
one.
Top,
like
this take top
Yep,
billing.
yep,
but,
yep.
You
of
know,
course.
every place has things that 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 have merit, and every place we've been. I mean, we honeymooned in Russia, which is a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
In early 1990s. And that had its charms, even though it didn't have Western
Where in Russia did you go?
luxuries. We started in St. Petersburg,
Yeah.
and
Is this what you were talking about last night? You take the train?
yeah, and then we took an overnight train
Yeah, that's cool.
to Moscow and stayed with a young couple of scientists who were taking boarders because they had not been paid. This was at the time where, Russia was flipping from
Yeah.
the Soviet Union was collapsing, and so. But favorite place to go? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can
know.
say that. I mean,
might have to come back to that one
you
at the
go
very
to,
end.
You go to Italy and you have a pizza pie and you think you've died and you've gone to heaven. You go, you're at the Vatican, or you're looking at the things in the Uffizi Museum in Florence, or you're climbing Mount Etna in Sicily. I mean, it's just. Or
And
you're Turkey and you're having a beautiful lamb dish. You're in Greece. You're at the Acropolis.
And I know especially your son has taken up and followed your lead on that traveling. I mean, he's been all over.
Yeah,
the
why
place.
not? That's how you. That animates us anyway.
Fluent in
Animates
Spanish.
everyone. Well,
I mean-
yeah, that's him. He's really become a Mexican, in many ways.
What is one thing that you wish you knew about being a parent before you became a parent?
Well, there's one thing that I think is critical, and that is that when someone, and those of you who are parents already know this, but the thing that you wish you knew, or that I wish I knew, was that there is no manual for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no instruction.
Mom gets the manual. Dad doesn't.
Well, I think it's right. Very good.
My aunt
But-
is laughing
but
in the audience.
I'm sure. But this idea that you should automatically know what to do in all circumstances. I mean, you have to have a firm foundation of example that's been given to you by the people that you grew up with, in order to have some suggestion or ideas of how to manage this, because it's not so easy to shape another human life without having a lot of doubt as to whether you're doing it, quote unquote, the right way. That's I think the most important thing is that you have to be yourself, that you have to be patient, you have to share your strengths, and your weaknesses will also be shared, but know that if your heart's in the right place, that at the end of the day, you're going to get that round of applause, so to speak, that you did the best you could, and it was a good job.
The one thing that we all share, that common bond, and especially us, is we all come from, in one form or another, a mother and a father. You lost your mother last year? 2 years ago?
In October 2024.
October 2024.
Yeah.
And your father, my grandfather, passed away
20 years ago.
about 20 years ago. Give me a fond memory or a lesson that you learned from your dad.
Well, My dad was kind of a quiet man, and he was
Firefighter.
yeah, he was a lifelong in the marine business. In the marine business, we had a sailboat that we vacationed on because in our part of Long Island we were right near the water, and our boat was docked at a marina, and I think that anything I really learned from him was the importance of kind of a quiet professionalism that's not rooted in college degrees, right? A real in charge ability to lead and to be willing to do so. Um, he was also the chief of the fire department in our town, which is a tremendous responsibility.
Yeah.
You're responsible for every time there's a fire, and
He's a
there
big
are
deal.
people putting their lives on the line. You know the old fire department and first responder thing, police
Yeah.
officers, and when everyone else is running out, they're running in, right? So he served a number of years as the chief of department, and he served many more years as the treasurer of the department, which also was a responsible task. But he was not a college graduate, but he had a lot of skills that he applied in a fantastic way that were not meant to draw attention to himself, right? So it's that quiet leadership quality that I think um, was 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 really most impressive. And once once John Adam was born, he was available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to do anything, along with my mother, to do anything that we needed from them. There was never any hesitation. We're going to drive up to a doctor in Westchester County, which we had to do frequently. My father was right there, okay? Picking us up, taking us there, and bringing us back. I mean, there was never, ever a question. And he also didn't have the need to raise his voice, and he was absolutely a nonviolent man. Um, and he provided an example of, of fatherhood that I could say, well, I like these things, and these other things, maybe not so much, but still I'm going to use them to inform and shape the type of father I wanted to become.
Go from my grandfather to the grandfather that's sitting next to me. What was the emotion like when you learned that you were becoming a
Well,
grandfather?
it was kind of a surprise because of circumstances, but we found out. Um, we found out that at Easter time, 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago, is it?
Yeah.
Where J.A., my son, visited us in Florida and told us, and he told us. Um, of course, he lives in Mexico now. He's going to be living in Tampa starting
Yeah.
in August, but he's been living in Mexico for a few years, specializing in the music of a certain region of Mexico. And he's a published author and a musician in his own right. Um, so he told us about this, and uh, I think it was a surprise. So it was like, uh, oh, okay. I think it takes a while to process. If you're expecting it,
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, terrific, finally. But when it wasn't expected, when it was like, hey, I have something to tell you, then it took a bit to process it. But our granddaughter, who is named after my mother, her name is Carol, okay, is the product of my son and a Mexican woman whose name is Nuria. And so they're married. Okay, they're married. And Carol is a pure joy and delight. We've
I
been
saw
down to see her. Yeah.
I got to jump on the FaceTime earlier
Oh yeah.
today and
Oh yeah.
wave hello and
Yeah, yeah. She's a smiley face. She's got some teeth sticking out, and I keep encouraging my son to stick his like fingers in there just around where the teeth are, and then have her close her mouth. You know, just because I'm a nice guy. So it's been it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling to know that things are passing on to the torch is passing on.
and you have always been within my family. This guy and his much better half,
Much
like way better.
Yeah,
Way-
I know.
Like, talking about outkicking your coverage. man.
I'm 5%.
She's pretty amazing. This is like we're saving her for the main event here because I'm going to grab her in a minute.
I hope so.
You know,
I hope so, because they're saying, "Oh, when is this guy going to get?"
I know. They're like, you promised us Glenda. We want
now
Glenda.
you're stuck with her.
And she's. I was like, it's Father's Day season. We got it. She deserves her own episode.
Then
really.
again, he's a Cubs.
She deserves
He's
her
a
own
Cubs fan.
conversation.
Do
You're.
you have any Lou Malnati's pizza?
There is no deep dish in the freezer, unfortunately. There are more bagels. I know you enjoyed a Long Island bagel
Why
today
do I
at my
think
house.
about
So the other one more big topic that I wanted to bring up,
Okay.
which is the topic of home ownership. You guys own multiple properties, and it's really been cool to see how you guys have moved back and forth. You talked about your ties to New York and have a place in Queens, which is just like a block away from like, the real life Epcot of like you can go eat anything from anywhere in the world within like 5 blocks.
That's literally true.
like,
Over 130 spoken languages identified in our neighborhood of Jackson Heights and Elmhurst.
Jackson
in
Heights,
Queens.
and now you guys are doing the reverse snowbird. It's summertime, so it's too hot to be down in Tampa. So we're going back up north, to the New York area. There's a beach house in Maine that, if you know my backstory, you guys very generously opened your doors in Maine to me back when I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. It was at your beach house that I decided that I wanted to initially move to Greenville, South Carolina. I made that decision on the Wi-Fi at the library in York Beach, because there is intentionally no Wi-Fi at the beach house. And if you've ever been to a beach house, you know why there's no Wi-Fi there. You're not going there to sit on the Wi-Fi. You're going there to enjoy life in an unplugged way. But your love of life and exploration and travel and appreciating different cultures, obviously it comes across in the way that your kids have grown up now, especially JA, and he's bilingual and everything. It's been really cool and just influential on me to grow up and see that, and be a party to this, and I've been so blessed. And I knew when I drew up this season, timing this trip where you guys were coming in, that I wanted to talk to you, because I love you like crazy, like I really do. And you're like this. I mean, he's always been there for me, always answer the phone. He's a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, which just makes this all so much more meaningful, that we share a love of the Dallas Cowboys. It's crazy. You're a bigger Dallas Cowboys fan than I am. I don't know how that's possible.
Can I share the best piece of advice I could give you? Be careful with that nose when you use the band sander.
If it's
because it just keeps going further.
If it's on the internet, it's got to be true. And now, when we read the transcript of the interview says, John Strub, major Dallas Cowboys fan who has never ever
is that what
talked shit to his nephew when the Packers beat the Cowboys in the playoffs every year.
Is that like Truth Social he laughed. You know how rare that is? It's like rare, more rare than a fireball on a Sunday afternoon.
We tied
through the sky.
Tie this big point about home ownership back,
Go
and
ahead.
I wanted to record in front of my house, which is the coolest thing I think that I've ever done, is bought this house.
Yeah.
But to be able to invite you and my aunt to stay here for a few days and enjoy Greenville. I mean, we had a hell of a day already today.
Not too bad.
We're going back downtown for dinner tonight, which would be
Nice.
just awesome.
It'll be great.
And this idea of home ownership, you have been really an influential figure in pushing me to take this step in my
Yeah,
life for
yeah,
years.
yeah, because it represents stability, personal stability, social stability, financial stability, professional stability. Okay, uh, but like you've made a decision that this is a place where you can live and where you can thrive, and therefore you need to invest in it. Home ownership is an investment, much the same as investments that you make in people. Okay, because you 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 evaluate, you make decisions, and you say, I'm willing, to put myself out on a limb and purchase this house, start this job, begin this relationship, get married, without knowing a single thing about what's going to happen tomorrow. We plan and hope that things happen according to our plans.
But life doesn't always go according to
It
plan.
it frequently does not, but
I mean, you sign Juan Soto to $1 billion contract, and then the Mets are down the toilet.
yeah, well,
It's just it's not according to plan.
but then again, the Cubs lost. What did you say? 11 games in a week in the last week. That's
Yeah,
like more than one game.
it's
a
hard to
day.
lose 11 games
That's
in a week, but the
hard.
Cubs somehow
So,
managed to
yeah,
do it.
like they played triple headers or something.
It's because we got rid of this guy Chris Bryant, who's
Yeah.
on the back
Oh,
of
yeah,
my.
yeah.
That's really if we still had Chris Bryant, would be
Yeah.
would
I
be
think,
a lot.
I think Joe Madden's to blame. Okay, but that's for another day. I mean, so that's really that's where we're at. We're thrilled to be here. We're very proud of you and this decision that you've made to invest in this community, because when you invest in this community, you're investing in yourself. You're investing in yourself, investing in your own confidence that you're going to make it here, that you're going to have a solid foundation here, and it's based on choices that you had and decisions that you made over time. And so it's a wonderful. It's not just, oh, now I have a place to lay my head, but it's the result of thoughtful decision making and commitment and investment. And that's why it's such a wonderful thing to see you as a homeowner.
We got to wrap up this episode with, I think, maybe the most important piece for you. No, you can stay seated. We're going to call her over, but we talk about maybe the best part of being a dad, of course, is spending the time with the kids. But you've been very blessed to spend 34 years with an amazing woman.
Pretty good, yeah.
And we're
darn
blessed
good.
to
Couldn't
have
done better.
her here. She's gonna come on over. She's prepped. She's ready to rock and roll. I love this lobster hoodie. So
Isn't that something? That's a spread.
we started. She was inside. You missed the whole like love story. He laid that out, and then you came outside. So you missed all the sappy stuff about like, here's how I met my lovely wife, and so on and so forth. So all the sappy stuff. You're gonna have to listen to the episode. So that's one
I will.
listener there. But in the spirit of Father's Day, I don't mean to ask you a loaded question here, but you talk about how your sweetheart 35 years ago, you met him, you decided you guys wanted to have kids together. How is John as a father?
Well, I have to say that John was a good partner, and he had a real relationship with the kids. I remember my father, when we would call my dad, we would call my mom, and my mom would tell my dad the messages. Like, we would never really spoke directly to my dad. And I think what John has is a special relationship with both of them, and they're both very unique relationships. And so, it's our relationship with the kids, and then it's a separate relationship with the kids. And John was always there to make the doctors. He was a really good partner, because I worked in the evenings and on Saturdays, and John was in charge, and he fed them, made doctor's appointments, cleaned their uniforms, drove them into Manhattan for music lessons. He was available and there all the time. And I remember one time I said, well, what did they eat? And he goes, don't ask me what they ate. Like, don't monitor me. I am their dad, and I am, and he's an excellent father. He remains to be an excellent father.
You were telling me yesterday how your daughter describes the two of you guys as goals,
Yeah.
like relationship goals, right? But not like having a relationship that lasts 34 years, like we were just talking about. It doesn't always go according to plan. Like it can be a rocky road sometimes. It's not perfect.
Oh no, it's not perfect, and it every year or every day it's a negotiation, and we've negotiated a really good space for ourselves. And I think, I can be a little moody sometimes, but he is very patient, and he just lets me be moody, and then we go back to normal.
You've got a second father in your life. He's not here with us today, but J.A. is a father himself now.
Yeah.
What is that like, seeing
Do you know what's
your
interest-
son become a dad?
What I see about that relationship with his daughter is that he has a really good model, which was his dad, and he wants to really emulate him. And I see it over and over again. It's really quite powerful to watch. Haven't you noticed that? Oh, you can't even admit
I
it.
can't.
You can't see it because you're in it.
They're both blushing. We're outside. It is a little sunny. I mean, it's a perfect day.
It's sunburn.
It's the sun. It's the half a beer that we split
That's it.
45 minutes ago. I want to say thank you guys, both of you. Is there anything else that either of you would like to add? I mean, we're talking fathers and impact of fathers and lessons as fathers for Father's Day this month on Chris Strub Unmuted, and it really means a lot for you guys, both of you, to take the time to be on the show with me today, because you are goals in many ways, and I've very, very much looked up to you and your wisdom and all that you've done for me both of you, over the years, and just appreciate you guys in different ways. I could spend a whole season talking about how the two of these guys have impacted my life separately. So couldn't do the season without you, and really glad that we could stomach an hour of the horrible weather out here.
I know. It's
to
just something.
record. I love you guys very much.
We love you, and we're
Love
so
you
proud
too.
of you. Yeah.
Yep. And a happy Father's Day to all those fathers and father figures and anyone who has influence in a positive way. And
I'm a dog dad now. That counts. I'm getting there, right?
So
I love you guys.
All right,
Thanks,
love you guys.
Chris.
Take-
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
And
Do you edit that?
I will edit it, and we're gonna wrap up just like this. Ready? Thanks for listening to Chris Strub Unmuted. Support the show by clicking like and subscribe. Keep up with me on social media at Chris. I'm the social media one in the family here, so you can learn more about them by re-listening to this episode if you'd like. And remember, as we talked about, we are all famous to a few people. I love you guys.
Love you guys. Mwah.